You're listening to the Focused and Fearless podcast. I'm your host, Heather Angel, and I've been helping people tune into what lights them up and increase their personal and professional performance for over a decade. Now I'm best known as a high-performance coach helping entrepreneurs like you cut through the noise and create a business and life on your terms. If you're ready to step out of struggle and discover how simple it can be to create a fulfilling, joyful, and successful business without all the overwhelm and long hours, you're in the right place. Hey gorgeous, welcome to another episode, and this episode is all about launch success. I have got my very good friend and lead coach within my Focused and Fearless membership, Alice O'Connor, on the call today. And what Alice specializes in is helping entrepreneurs like you create a successful launch mindset. Now, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you'll know that I'm a big believer that success is 80% energy, okay? It's all down to working on who you are, how you're showing up, how you're being, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, all that stuff. That's 80% of the work done. The 20% is the steps, the doing, the strategy. And Alice has been a lead coach in Focused and Fearless for a few months now, helping my members look at how they can grow themselves as people from the inside out so they can show up better, stronger, and more confident in their business. So in this episode, Alice and I are going to discuss that awful sinking feeling when you feel like you've done everything you possibly can, you've done everything everyone's telling you to do to have a successful launch, and you don't get the results you want. And actually what's going on under the surface that has created those lackluster results for you. And most importantly, what you can do right now to start moving out of those self-sabotaging patterns. So enjoy, dive into this. And if you want to access Alice within Focused and Fearless and you want to work with me and get all the steps, get the combination of the inner work and all the steps and the strategy that you need to take your coaching or therapy business online, then click the link in the show notes. There is some amazing freebies from Alice, but there is also the link to join Focused and Fearless, which is still available for a 7-day trial for only £1. So it's very much a try before you buy situation. So there's no risk to you. You can come in, meet us, work with us, and most likely stay with us because we're a little family inside Focused and Fearless. So enjoy the episode, my lovely, and I hope to see you on the inside of Focused and Fearless soon. Welcome, beautifuls. I am very thrilled to introduce you to my friend Alice, who is coming on the podcast today to talk about launch success mindset. Now, this is a huge topic, and I'm so excited. We're recording this at the beginning of August. And I know that every woman and a chihuahua is launching over the next sort of 10 weeks. Everyone's planning a launch, having a launch. Like September, you'll see everyone launching all over the place. So I'm thrilled to have Alice with us to share the missing ingredient that you need for a really successful launch. So Alice, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is fun. Yeah, it's a great time to be chatting about it. So yeah, it's good.
It is.
Yeah.
So for those, obviously I did the intro before, but for those that aren't aware of your work, could you let us know who you help and how you help them and how you got into it?
Yeah, of course. So like Heather said, my name is Alice, and I'm a launch success and mindset coach, and I help entrepreneurs and small businesses to have successful, confident, and really consistent, sustainable launches in their business, in a nutshell.
Yeah, and consistent and sustainable are those like two key words, aren't they? Because launches can feel like you're on a bit of a roller coaster sometimes.
Oh my goodness, yes they do. Yep. I think you and I have absolutely been there.
Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So what got you into helping entrepreneurs with launches specifically?
It was without question my launch experience last year. Like I kind of hinted there, it was very difficult. It almost resulted in me entirely giving up on my business, let alone launches. And it was towards the back end of last year when And I'll go into it a little bit in a moment, but when it kind of suddenly clicked and I thought, hang on a second, launches, whilst I don't want to use such a strong word as disservice, I think this is the mindset piece in launches is a really big thing that's missing from them. And I noticed it. It had an impact on me and on so many people I talked to, friends, kind of business peers who've been launching. And it just kind of clicked really that this was where I should be going, what I wanted to do. But yeah, it really started. So yeah, like I said, with my my launches last year, I think it was actually November 18. Yes, that I joined a launch kind of coaching program because I wanted to stop doing, I think what everybody kind of wants to stop doing when they go into launching is to stop that constant cycle of selling all the time, and wanting to sort of inject energy into my business. So I joined this launch coaching program. I didn't know a huge amount about it, but it was with a lovely woman, with a lovely group, and yeah, just got on the launch path, I guess. And I had a different audience at the time, so I was working with mums who were kind of ready to move out of the mummy phase and into more of themselves and more of their kind of passions and dreams. And I launched my first launch was in April, I think. So this was after 4 months of working with this launch coach, of following the plans, following the guidance, following the coaching, really sticking to it. And I had 4 people show up and made 0 sales. So I kind of lit my wounds and thought, you know what, that's my first one. It's fine. I'm just going to go again, take a step back, breathe, don't read too much into it, because after all, I'm a mindset coach and I've been doing this kind of empowerment coaching for such a long time that I was like, no, I'm not going to run away myself. This is, I know what I'm doing. I know my tools. Let's get back on the road. And so I did, and I started again, building up my audience, running the ads, and then in June, and although there wasn't such a massive gap between the launches, I did have, an audience and I was working consistently. I had some people turn up to my launch, but again, made absolutely no sales. And that was a stinger because I thought, right, I followed the path. I've had one launch, I've learned from it, I've picked myself up, and yet this one has still bombed. And I still haven't got, the results and the success that I wanted from it. So yeah, again,
and that just takes us into a bit of a spiral, doesn't it? And I suppose that's where you realized that the mindset piece was so big, because I think, we've all done these things, whether it be launches or other areas of our business, and gone like, well, I followed the steps.
Yes.
Why has this not given me I did what I was told to do. I did all the steps. So what happened after that other launch?
So I made the decision to then work one-to-one with a launch coach, because it was at that point I was like, right, there really is something going on here. I'm not getting it. I need a bit more support. So I decided to work one-to-one with a launch coach who's one of the best in the industry, and then went for another launch in September, and exactly the same thing happened. No sales, minimal people turned up. It was for something that, both she and I agreed was a really great product, and yet it still didn't work. And that was the thing that absolutely, floored me and almost broke me, because it was a whole lot, even though I followed the steps, even though I've done all of these things, all of these launchy things, worn myself out, and had a launch coach one-to-one with her eyes on my business, I still wasn't getting it. And from then I went off the radar for a couple of months, and licked my wounds, but also did just a ton of mindset stuff, like almost to the point where I didn't really do any business work, because I knew, obviously, mindset coach, I needed to get my head together, because I felt really broken. I felt really that, I just wasn't destined for a business. I wasn't destined for this. I can't support my people. I don't have what it takes. And just wanted to quit. So I had to get my head together. I'm a mom of three. I couldn't, break down. I've had experiences like that in the past. I wasn't going to go there. And then after doing all of that work and feeling a lot stronger, I went for another launch, but I did it really differently. And so I had a lot of the skills already because I'd been, shown them. I knew, how ads worked. I knew about kind of, email sequences and the types of different launches. But I went into it with a completely different, I'm just going to enjoy this. I'm going to do what I want with it. I am going to not, I'm going to, we talk about it quite a lot, you and I, the sort of detach from the outcome. And I really did. I just went into it like, I'm going to love this. It was Christmas time. So there was, a great energy anyway. And completely different mindset into it, completely different energy. And I sold more one-to-ones off the back of that than I had done for the whole year. The most that I have ever signed. And
I really want to I just want to thank you and sort of acknowledge you being so honest, because I don't think there's enough of these conversations being had, especially in the online space. And I think now in 2020, given the fact that it's actually just a very sensible idea to have your business online, because quite frankly, we haven't been able to meet up in person. I mean, we haven't even seen each other in person for months. And we don't know, it's so uncertain, whereas the online space, you can still serve your audience, you can still show up. Absolutely. So you and I are seeing a lot more people come into that space, which is brilliant. But the same things are happening, and they're just, they're beating themselves up about the fact that it's them and they've done it wrong, and maybe they should have spent more on ads, and maybe they should have followed this strategy, or maybe they should have done something else. And it's just not that. It isn't that at all. You can do all the steps, you can have the fancy tech, you can do all the things. If you go into a launch with the wrong energy, you're stuffed from the start.
Absolutely, for sure. And so many of us entrepreneurs know that mindset and confidence and self-esteem as a business person is so important, and that's where you're going to get your success and see your results and your confidence from. And exactly the same thing applies to launches. That confidence, that belief, getting the right things in your head in order is exactly the same thing. That is what contributes to the 80% of the launch success. The tactics, all of the, like the emails, the types of launches, the number of times you go live, all of those things, which are really important and that you need, they simply rest upon that mindset. There's no getting away from it. Once you have that mindset, you got it nailed. You cannot, and I know this is a big promise, but you cannot fail in a launch when you've got your mindset sussed. It's impossible. And I know that people are going to go, what? Come on.
No, I completely agree, which is exactly why I wanted to bring you onto the podcast, because I think, and you mentioned it just briefly earlier on, is the detaching to the outcome. When you go into a launch, and I've had this before, I've gone into launches where I'm like, I must make this much money and blah, 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 and they have fallen on their butts. Like, they have been awful. Like, I've had a couple of sales and I'm like, that didn't go to plan. That wasn't what was supposed to happen. And every launch, when I've gone into it, like, let's see what happens. Boom, magic. So everything works. And I think the detaching to the outcome is so essential. I mean, with your methodology, you help your clients, I know, through, you have your 4 pillars of sort of success, if you like, when it comes to launching. Could you sort of, I know there's a lot to go into, we'd be here for hours if we went into all of them, but could you go into what the key 4 pillars are that you believe in launch?
Yeah, of course. And these came from me spending that time, reflecting and thinking about launch mindset. There are, what I call kind of these 4 pillars that support the tactics, the actions. Imagine it, I guess, like a bit like a table, I suppose. The 4 legs, and then you've got your tabletop of the actions on top. And they are self-belief, a belief in your business, so business belief, having and I'm putting it into kind of quotation marks, but the right money mindset, and having the right launch mindset. So these 4 things, you bring them all together, you put them in place, it's, foolproof. But they are distinct and unique areas of your mindset, of a launch mindset, that need to be worked on and nailed and strengthened. And those are the four.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I think everyone, certainly people listening to my podcast, would have heard people talk about money mindset. It's almost like word mindset in itself. I've talked in other episodes, and I know we've talked about it before. It's like, man, we need another word for this, like, because the word mindset is just thrown around everywhere. But it is that, isn't it? And I think, all of those elements, and it's interesting you call it that foundation that you build above on, and I do believe that is the case, because like I said, if you know all the strategies but you haven't got that strong foundation of inner confidence, of inner strength, then actually you're going to struggle with your launches. My mentor calls it putting whipped cream on garbage, and I'm like, yep, that's pretty much how I was operating in the first couple of years of the business. So within the launch success mindset, what do you sort of talk to your clients about? What are the struggles that they're coming to you with that you kind of go, yep, been there, heard that, this is where you need to go? Like, how do you help your clients go from everything you've described, thinking I've done everything, I'm a failure, and even worse, like, I'm not cut out for business? We've both been there, like, oh my God, there's gotta be an easier way. So what do you say to your clients? Like, how do you help them with that?
Oh gosh.
And I know there's a lot of ways
to go into, but yes, I mean, if we take, for example, let's take the pillar of self-belief. That is really looking at your belief and your feelings about your worth, how good you are, whether you deserve to be where you are. So much comes from that. We've been told so many messages, and we've had all of these beliefs about ourselves all the way from childhood that have been reinforced. You build on these beliefs all the way through your life, which contribute to this feeling of low confidence, low self-belief. So I always start with that pillar, building up the confidence in their self, the love and acceptance in their self, what they feel that they're worthy and capable, looking at their backstories, looking at their experiences that have contributed to them, and whilst doing that kind of that conscious work, challenging those beliefs, finding evidence for whether they're true, finding evidence for whether they're right, challenging it on that conscious part, but also really digging deep into the unconscious mind. So that is a huge area that I'm interested in, and forms a huge part of this methodology that I work in. I went to university, did psychology. I've got various psychotherapy, I've done various psychotherapy courses. This is a big thing. I believe the unconscious mind is responsible for a lot of stuff. So we work on these factors with both these unconscious tools and these conscious tools. And people bring, there's so much. There's fears about rejection. There's fears about success. There are stories that they've been told about, how they're just, they're not clever enough. They've had conversations with teachers, decades ago, and the teachers have said, oh, why is your brother so smart? And, you're not the smart one. Oh, you're the sporty one. And it's all of those stories, all of those beliefs that have churned over in our minds for years that we bring to a launch. And launches are so unique. They're so stressful. There's no getting away from it. They are, particularly live ones. So much stress, so much going on. And they can really trigger these self-doubts and these self-beliefs. And when they do, when you're in the midst of all that chaos, you're limited as to what you can do to kind of challenge them. So getting them sorted, building those pillars of self-belief, removing those unconscious blocks, doing that kind of strong conscious work before you go into a launch, before you're challenged and triggered, is really important, important.
And that's such an important thing, I think, in terms of saying about doing it before the launch. Like, I think, everyone listening to this, I'm sure, will know, and it's almost like a painful truth, that if you're going to go on this entrepreneurial journey, you better be ready to have a complete inner development change. Like, everything changes, your whole perspective on life, everything, the way you show up in the world, the friends you have, the relationships you have, everything. You think you're starting a business, but actually you're on the path to a complete awakening if you choose to. And it's
for sure.
That is full on, isn't it? And you don't want to be kind of all wobbly before you go into a launch, because it energetically it comes across. And I think what was really interesting you said earlier is that when you go into a launch with the correct mindset, you cannot fail. And I would love to dive into this a bit more, because this is going to be interesting depending on, you know, who's listening and how they perceive success. And I know we've talked about this a lot before between the two of us. They may be thinking, oh, okay, so if I get my mindset right, that's a 6-figure launch in the bag. And, you know, I would love to open a discussion about the fact that it might not be, but you might get, you know, maybe you're aiming for 20 sales and you'll get 10 sales. But you know what? You won't feel like death by the end of it. Because when you know you've got the energy, because I think I see so many people go in and, you know, goals is a whole other conversation, because we set these random goals. You know, I've seen people have a list of 50 people on their email list and go, oh, I want to sell 200 spaces. It's like, you don't have that many people in your audience, so you're going to have to like really, we need to look at, you know, you can do it, but we need to look at a strategy, because you've got 50 people on your list and you're expecting 200 sales. So it's, you know, we do need, as you said before, the steps, the strategy, the audience growth, all the things that you do outside of you are important. But when you go into it with a right mindset, you will come out of that launch and truly be detached from the outcome and kind of go, oh my gosh, how amazing. I've got this. I wanted 20, but I've got 10. Let's high five and pop the champagne and like celebrate it and learn from it and do it again. So I think that's just something to be really aware of. And I think the knowing what success is, you know, I do see too many people thinking, oh, okay, well, I've, you know, done a launch course where I've done this and I know the steps. Now all I need to do is just think positive thoughts and hey presto, that's me 60 done. And it's just not the case. So where do you get your, like, how do you help the people you help? Because I know a lot of your clients, for lack of a better term, are a little bit just like launch broken when they come to you, like, Alice, help me. I can't do this again. So how do you help pick them up from that place where they just think, I don't even know if I can do this, and then they reach out to you?
And that's like, this is one of those, particularly when I work one-to-one with people, that's a real, that's the first place to start. It's that healing those kind of raw wounds. I start off doing a lot of mindfulness at that point, because that at that moment, you know, their nervous systems are like, their heads are all over the place. And when you're in that state of mind, you cannot take on more information. Your brain simply doesn't work. And we need our brains and our minds to be in a kind of learning state. So I would, you know, start off with that, getting, you know, decompressing from the launch experience, you know, healing a little bit immediately from that. And then it would be looking at what their definition of success is. And that is really important, because we take on society's, launches, other business people's definition of success. And if it doesn't align to ours, you're never going to get it. You're not, it's not your success. So you're not going to have it, if you see what I mean. It's about reframing what your success is. And to me, and what I would always say to my clients, is that a successful launch achieves the results that you wanted, the results that you wanted from it, but that you can get from it. So, for example, what I mean by that is, if your values and your life, you want to spend more time with your children, and your definition of success after this launch is, I want to you know, have a membership with a couple of people in that brings me in you know, £150 a month, so I can get a babysitter to, you know, not a babysitter, sorry, but I can get you know, somebody in to help me with a VA to help me with my shopping, for example, so I can go out and spend time with the children. If that's your definition of success, if that's how you want to live your life, and you align your launch and your launch results to that, that's a success for you, you know, regardless of whether it's, you know, £10,000 or, you know, whatever it is that we're told should be a successful launch, and the big hitters call a successful launch, it's so dependent on you and your life and your values and your beliefs and where you want to go. Does that make sense?
Yes, no, it does. It does make sense. And I think that's, I'm always talking about, dream big, think big, because I truly believe everyone listening to this, everyone who has the bravery and that inner voice that's gone, go on, give entrepreneurship a go. You can do this. There's something, there's a passion, there's a desire to help and serve people, because most of my audience are sort of coaches, consultants, therapists. I know that there's that inner voice. It's just like, I can do more. I can do this. And I do believe, as a mum of two, I have completely transformed my vision of success. And I still have my big, big, big goals, which scare me, which I think we all need to like motivate ourselves a little bit more. But yeah, absolutely. I think if your version of success is, to be able to have a launch that's going to get you in enough regular income so that you can hire a VA, so that you can, whether it be to spend more time with your kids, or actually if you're just like, I just need more time to spend on the business. So whether you can hire a VA, whether you bring in enough cash to like get a cleaner in, and then start to grow and scale. It doesn't, I think we see so many people that are considered to be an overnight success, and you don't see the 10 years of hard graft and in inverted commas failures, because there are no failures in launches, I don't think, ever. Because if we hadn't, if you and I hadn't had our, in inverted commas, failures and our struggles, we'd be rubbish at helping our audience because we'd be like, oh, great, you mean you just didn't crush it the first launch? I did.
Well, that's it. And with every experience is growth, and with every bit of growth is success. So I kind of used to think, oh, failed launch, blah, blah, blah. But I learned, okay, that didn't work. I didn't enjoy doing that. I learned a little bit, in the back of my mind. I may not have been aware of it, but hang on, my mindset needs tweaking. And the next one, oh, my mindset needs, the third one was like, right, my mindset needs to be worked on. And here I am, and there I was with that launch that got me what I wanted it to get me. And you can't have failure. There is always going to be success with growth and learning. Absolutely. Bare lines, bare bottom. My expression is bare bones, bare bottom.
So just so everyone knows, we're mums. We are recording this early morning on a Friday, because we're like, okay, where do we have space in our schedule between running businesses, looking after our kids, and everything else? Is like, crack a dawn on Friday morning.
No option.
So bare bottoms, that's all fine. We're just gonna roll with it.
It's what I spent the last decade dealing with. So it's obviously top of my mind.
And that's just the reality of life, isn't it? So I mean, there's so many things we could go into with launch success mindset, and I know you've got some amazing resources to share with people, which I will make sure I tag up in the show notes. But I think there's such we're so impatient, I think, as entrepreneurs, and we don't mean to be, and we know we read the books and we're like, okay, I'm gonna do things differently, it's fine.
It's part of our DNA.
I think it is. And I think with what I'd love to sort of round it up on is sharing, actually, for everyone, really listen to what Alice has said, sharing her story, and from other podcast episodes on here as well. It does take time. The inner work takes time, and it never stops.
Never stops. Well, that's it. No,
because once you think, you're like, oh my goodness, I hope that everyone listening here takes that time to actually reflect, and when they access your freebies, they'll have that amazing tools to do that. But when you reflect on where you were, exactly what you just said, like, oh, I was there and now I'm here, the growth that happens in actually what is a very short amount of time in the whole grand scheme of things, it feels like forever. And in internet years, when you're on the online space, you're like, oh my God, I feel like I've been doing this for 20 years. And then you're like, oh no, it's only been 6 months. So when you actually look back and reflect, the inner growth and the mindset shifts can be really profound, really profound. So before we sort of wrap up and share, the amazing resources that you've got that can help people, what is something that people can do now like something. I do love to give my audience something tangible. So they're listening to this and going, okay, great, I need to work on my mindset. What? Like,
Yeah.
what do I do? What's something
Yeah.
they can do now, especially if they are going into sort of launches, sort of end of August, September time?
Yeah. I would say start as I would start. Do something in the now that is going to almost get you a quick win. So start doing a bit of de-stressing. If you are going into a launch, if you've got one coming up, if you're, 3 weeks away, whatever, if it's next week, I can guarantee, I guess, is that the right word? Oh, that you're feeling pretty overwhelmed, that you're feeling pretty wrung out. My advice would be to learn a few tools, get a few tools on board to manage that whilst you're in your launch. So if you've got time to start some mindset work, obviously start asking yourself some questions, start using some of the resources that I can share with you to start building that mindset. But immediately now, I would recommend that you do some very simple mindfulness work. So get some meditation done, get some self-care tools set up for your launch, because you're going to need them. You're going to need this clear, energized head. And like I said a bit earlier on, because launches are full on, tiring, overwhelming, that is the point at which the bad boy negative beliefs and doubts come up. So if you've got a buffer, if you've got these self-care tools, if you've got these meditations, I'm not saying sit on a mountain for half an hour and think nothing but, white space. 5 minutes here or there, taking a few moments in front of your computer to just breathe before you get online to do a live, a live Facebook recording, whatever. Have those self-care tools. That is a great way to start to get your brain flowing, engaging with your audience. Yes. And then, it's also great if you are in the point where you're like, I am really curious about launches. I do really want to do them again, but I feel broken. That is also a great place to start, to heal some of that anxiety and that overwhelm that's running through your brain, and to get, like I said, get your brain in that lovely, learning, malleable state to start doing the work, the 80% that is going to get you your success guaranteed, full stop, consistently, on and on from your launches.
Yeah, excellent. And meditation is just so powerful. But you're right, you don't need to go and, sit cross-legged in a beautiful open meadow or something. You
It'd be
can,
lovely if we
yeah,
could.
I mean, it would be lush, let's face it. So a little tip that I do, I mean, my audience know I do love the alternative aspects of running a business, and I always make sure I have got a lot of smudge sticks in my house when I do a launch. Leading up to a launch, I'm smudging my crystals, I'm clearing the energy. I mean, my house smells interesting during launch time. Like my neighbors must know, because there's just smell of sage constantly in my house. So really, because it is energy, everything is energy. And if you are feeling depleted, and I think this is another thing with launches, you see people, and the problem is when you're not working on the inside with a coach or mentor, you see it from the outside. So you see them showing up all the time, blah 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 blah. Actually, the really successful launches, so I've just last couple of months done a launch with James Wedmore. It was all about the energy. We were chilling. It was the most relaxed, laid back, and wildly successful launch.
Yeah.
And you just think, wow, okay, well, that was much better than what I thought I needed to do, which was hustle every hour of the day.
Yeah.
During launches, make sure you put in some self-care. And I know that's what you talk about a lot as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when are you going to have a nice meditation? When are you going to have that relaxing bath, or go for a walk, or get some fresh air? Because you don't need to be on your screen the whole time, because that's just complete you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think James was also talking a little bit about this as well, wasn't he? Because he's so done with the overwhelming, stressed out, scary, blah launches. And they're just so much more fun. I've got one coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'm genuinely just like, this is going to be so good. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, next week I'm going to talk about that. And it just feels so nice. And that's how launches should be. They're really powerful. They're great for your business, particularly now, when, like you said, so many people are getting online. And I don't want people to have the experience where they're like, right, I'm getting online, I need to launch something, and then bang, it feels horrible and they give up, because people need so much at the moment. People need so much of what other people have got to give. Absolutely. And getting this launch mindset stuff is just it's key to the fun stuff, to the good times, to the joy, which, come on, that's life. That's what it's all about.
Yes. Amen to that. Absolutely. And launches really can be fun. And honestly, like, my person, me as a business owner 3 years ago would never have believed that if someone said it to me. I was like, nope. They're very, very stressful. No, that's amazing. So what have you got to help my lovely audience? Because I know you've got some amazing freebies to offer.
Yes, so a couple of things actually, because everybody's different, everybody likes to learn in different ways. So yes, the first one that I've got, I've done a short kind of mini launch money mindset course, which is available completely free to anybody that wants to do it. It's got some great videos in there, just talking a lot about money mindset, because that, there's no getting away from it. We need to make money as entrepreneurs, absolutely. That is definitely part of the system. So that's a great way, if you are kind of struggling with making money, and that your beliefs about money are a bit off, you're stressed out about it, that's a really good place to start. So there's that course, which I think you're going to put a link to.
I'll link it all up in the show notes for sure.
That you can do. There's also a really quick, really easy handout and planner. And you can measure your kind of, where are you up to on the kind of the route to your launch success. So have a look at that. If line some things up, just do a bit of an analysis of where you're up to, and then there's a planner within that, so you can start planning towards what you need to do to get more onto that path. But I've also got a challenge coming up on the 17th of August, so in a couple of weeks' time, which is all about this. About building some of the foundations, about the definition of a successful launch, how you can get into that launch mindset, and about how these launches and how this energy and having these fun launches, how they are the ones that are going to sell, how they are the ones that are going to get your audience, that come back to you time and time again, that buy from you time and time again. It's the 80%. Yes, there's that challenge that I'm doing, that anybody is welcome to join, whether you're a coach, whether you're course creators, whether you're selling products, whatever, come along, give it a whirl. We're going to be doing challenges every day, some real good action steps for you to implement that don't take too long but are really quite profound, and we're going to build on those every day. I'm going to be trying to go, because it's summer holidays and I'm not going to commit to going on at 1:30 every day to do a live. I am going to be popping in, and I am going to be answering questions and giving some other kind of bits of advice and recommendations for what you can do. But it's just that is just a great place to start, I think, for anybody that, well, I say great place to start. It's a great place to start, but it's also a great place to top up. So if you are launching and you do need a little bit of I'm feeling a bit crappy, I'm feeling a bit doubtful about these launches, I need a bit of a boost. It's also great for that, because that will get you back to time, right, let's work on this.
Yeah, amazing. Oh my gosh, well, there's plenty for everyone to choose.
Sorry everyone.
No, that's amazing. If you are, what's great is if you are listening to this on the day it's released, then you've got time to jump into that challenge and go through everything that Alice is going to be providing for you. But also, if you're listening to this at any other time in the future, then those freebies are still in the show notes, so you can dive through them. And I think I just want to really thank you for being so honest about this. As I said at the beginning, I feel like it's almost like no one wants to really talk about this. Everyone pops up going, there's no such thing as failure, it's all fine, it's all fine. It's like, but if you don't have that thought process, if you haven't done the inner work, if you haven't changed your mindset, for lack of a better term, you are going to see it as a failure. You are going to beat yourself up, and you are going to compare yourself to others, and that's a horrible place to be.
Yes.
It's
and I've the back end of last year, when I was going through all of that horrible I want to give up, I spoke to so many people, so many of my friends who had come out of a launch and gone, I'm done, that was so traumatic, that was so horrible, I am not doing it again, I'm not going to do this business, I'm going to completely reframe stuff, I'm not going to working it the same way. And it's just really sad. It's really heartbreaking, because I know there's so much that everybody has to give, and I know that those business owners have so much to give, so important. And just to see that crushing is just, it's not right. It's not the way things should be. This needs to be really in the launch kind of education stream. This is something that is absolutely missing, absolutely core. And you know what? That the really big hitters have, the really big launches. If you want that really big launch, of course, they have that nailed. They do that work. It's not I guess it's not talked about, because it's not as sexy or as kind of, you can't flash a kind of statistic up like this mindset work. But I guarantee that they all have this nailed, without question. And so, you're kind of like, okay, well, if they have, and this is together, and
absolutely. And I know we were supposed to be wrapping up, but I think that's actually just a really, really good point, because this is what I see so often is, I'll have clients join in Focused and Fearless, as you know, because you're our head coach in there, and they'll come in and they'll be like, oh, well, I saw so and so do this on Instagram, so that's the route to success. And it's like, nope. That's a great tool or a tactic you can try and you can use and all those great things, but no, as I said, I've worked with that amazing launch strategist, adore her. I worked with her for years, learned so much, and now I learn from James Wedmore, and everything he talks about always comes back to like, well, what are you believing? How are you thinking? What's going on? It's like, oh yeah, okay. And it is so important. And that's, when I think what's very important to understand is, this is maybe a whole other episode, is when you do see a lot of these launches and they are talking about the steps and the strategies and blah, 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 blah. That's not just what they will, deliver. When you look at the big hitters. So, James does not even use the word mindset. I don't even use in all of my marketing for Focused and Fearless. I don't talk about, hey, come and change your inner world and da da da. I don't do that, because people are looking for like, just show me how to make more money. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. But by the way, when you're in, we're going to peel back those layers.
Look at and that's the thing, isn't it? It's it doesn't ring to me, it doesn't kind of tug so many people's interest, the mindset thing. It is a bit kind of, what's that? Not sure it'll work for me. But it's so important. And I'm not taking anything away from the launch tactics, all of the actions, not at all. They are crucial as well. But I'm just saying that there is so much more to it than that. And we need to be absolutely mindful of it if we want to have these consistent, successful launches, if we want it as part of our business strategy.
Without burning out every time.
Without burning out and panicking and that's it, I'm done.
Doing a launch and then hiding for 3 months to recover. Alice, it's been an absolute joy as always. Thank you so much for coming on. So remember, everyone, the show notes are full of all the links for everything that Alice has got to offer. And where else can they find you on social media? Where's the best place for them to connect with you?
So I am Alice the Coach. I never quite know whether it's my handle is at Alice the Coach or hashtag Alice the Coach. What is it? What is that handle? It's at. Text, not my thing.
She has an assistant. She's savvy. She has an assistant that looks after this. She doesn't.
Exactly. I don't need to think about this stuff. But yes, it's at Alice the Coach, and my everything will be on my website. You can find out more about me.
Oh.
Drop me an email, if you want to more. All of that, yes.
All of that stuff. So go connect with Alice over on Instagram, and make sure you head to the show notes to get all of your freebies. And Alice, thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you. It's been lovely. What a nice way to start the weekend.
Thank you for listening to the Focused and Fearless podcast. If you'd like to continue the conversation or have a question that you would like answered in an upcoming episode, head over to Instagram and connect with me at Heather Angel Coaching. If you enjoy this podcast, please share your thoughts in a review on iTunes. I truly value your feedback, and I take the time to read every single review.
Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you in the next episode.